WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high-quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Roger's Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Roger's Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out. Fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's Statewide Pest Control Services for all your pests and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide Pest Control Services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378.
You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. So I'm fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you. every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now your host, Riscala Stevens.
Good morning to you from South Florida on the East Coast. It is a beautiful, beautiful day. I'm looking out and there is just a couple of clouds in the sky. It's got that beautiful blue and it looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day for us here in Florida to get out there and enjoy what we so much are here for and have something to do with the water. And, of course, as always, I have Captain Hook, who's back there in the background taking care of everything for me. Thank you, Captain Hook, and a good morning to you.
Good morning, good morning.
The one and only Pam Worth. Pam is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida, and she always brings a unique perspective to the table because she's literally at the water level. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. It is gorgeous over here. Yesterday was a nice day, too. I think that Noah lived in Florida for a while because what have we had, like 40 days and 40 nights of rain? And I think finally it's over, at least for a little bit. We haven't been experiencing the typical summer pattern where we'll wake up in the morning and it's pretty much like it is today, but then around 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon, the end of the world approaches. We haven't been experiencing that. It's been rather dry and very hot, along with the dryness, quite hot. But I don't know how that has affected fishing because I haven't been able to speak with anybody, regarding the fishing on this side of the state. Tell me a little bit about what's going on over there. Have you been fishing over there on that side? Well, to be honest, I visited your coast yesterday. I was invited over by Captain Xavier, and we went snook fishing over in Cocoa.
Wow.
I did not land my PB, personal best, but we spent 3.5 hours of dragging, screaming reels going off, and all the fish were over 30. You know, the average fish was 33 to 34. And these are more type ocean snook, not the flat snook. So they're fighting current all day long. I want to tell you, the fight they put out was something else. 3.5 hours, I was like, I'm done. I'm ready to go home.
So any idea why they would be in that area and not out, like where you would typically find them?
Right now they're in a summer breeding pattern, so a lot of snook are out on the beaches. Also, with all the rain that we've had here in Central Florida, West Florida, and the Northeast Coast, there's so much rain in the Banana River and the St. Johns River that it's fresh. It's almost fresh water. And snook can handle it, and so can the redfish, but it's pushing all the bait out, all the shrimp and all the little fish. So big fish follow little fish.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting. And with regard to fishing over on that side of the state, do any of that this last week?
Yes, I did. Yesterday, so Friday was over in the Cocoa area. Yesterday was up in Crystal River and just had a blast. I think I got 6 reds. I think I sent you a picture of Spot. He had 14. Yes, you did. He had 14 spots on him.
Unbelievable.
So,
really unbelievable.
I got 2 reports from a couple of my friends that are out fishing Tampa Bay, and they've already picked up redfish. They said they've also run into a couple schools of small jack. So, there's a lot of fish out there.
Well, that's good news.
Tampa's pretty safe from the red tide. Tampa and St. Pete have not had the problem that Sarasota South has had.
Well, I'm going to have John Heim on later on today. John is with the South Florida Clean Water Movement, and he's going to give us a little bit more information with what's going on. He's one of the informed people that I look to get more information. One of the people who really got me started in all of this is Robert Warner. Robert with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. He was someone who had posted on social media about what is happening,
brought my attention to it. And from that point forward, I've just been basically learning. I'm ignorant about this, embarrassingly to say, but I'm not going to stay ignorant. I'm going to learn about what's going on and see what we can do. And I hope that other people will feel the same way. Anyway, we'll have a big discussion about that shortly, later on in the show. And if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Warner is with us at this very moment.
He is indeed. And how are you guys?
Great. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Good. I'm great. Just got back from Key West for a week. It was a wonderful trip. So
I'm jealous.
I am well rested now. So
what was it?
I heard what you were talking about. I have an appointment with Brian Mast, our local congressman, tomorrow at noon, regarding the water and the river and what their plans are. Brian was the one who took our fight to Washington. He's the one that took all the little kids up there. And so I've got an appointment with him tomorrow. I want to go thank him for taking the fight to Washington and see what his plans are for the future and how he sees this working out. So
now,
to be honest with you, Robert, I could spend more than a whole show on this. This is really something that touches each one of us, especially if you're here in South Florida. I don't care if you're not experiencing the red tide or whether you are or whether you're not. It's going to have an effect on everything in South Florida eventually. If this insanity doesn't stop, this is, again, I could do a whole show.
Well, a lot of my friends have lost their season. I've got friends in Boca Grande that basically lost their tarpon season. And, this is the welfare of a lot of people you're talking about, and not just fishermen. Like I said, there's people that own restaurants on the water here.
That's right.
We've got Club Med here in Port St. Lucie talking about moving if this keeps going on. I mean, I don't know how many employees Club Med has, but it's a few.
I would think so.
They're talking about moving if this doesn't stop. And, there's a lot of stuff going on that this stuff affects more than just us fishing. It affects a lot of businesses. It affects a lot of people. It affects the tourist industry. It affects a lot of things. So
it affects our. I'm sorry, Pam. Give me a second. It affects our health. Each one of us. It affects our health. There are people who have gone out to where this is going on the West Coast and spent just a few minutes there without some kind of protection, and they end up in the hospital because they feel like they can't breathe.
Well, it does. It smells pretty bad. If you've never been around blue-green algae,
it's not just the odor.
Yeah, I know, but it's like a warning that you shouldn't be there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like when you smell sulfur or you smell gas, you probably shouldn't be there.
Go ahead, Pam. I apologize. I just want to get that in there real quick.
Yeah, no. I stepped on you. My comment was that Club Med's got deep pockets, right? I mean, they're an international chain. I was reading stories on it's the mom and pop shops, the ones that rent the kayaks, the little, like you said, the beach bars, the independent captains that are out there. This is killing them, absolutely killing them. They have nothing to fall back on.
And
not to
take
like I said,
anything.
Club Med, not that they're a small organization, but they employ a lot of people. These people's jobs are at stake. There's a lot to this. There's a lot more to this than just us guys that like to go fishing. There's a lot to this.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from them, but what about the people now? I'm seeing pictures of people. This is going on in their backyard, where you can't even walk out in your backyard because it smells so bad and it's so toxic. You can't even walk out in your own backyard.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I said, I'm going to go talk to him at noon tomorrow and see what the plans are. And he's on our side. He's with the fight. So see what he's got to say. I also posted something from Ellen Brockovich yesterday.
I saw that.
Erin Brockovich is apparently coming to town too. So she wants to come check it out again, see what's going on, and she wants to go see Rick Scott. So that would be interesting. So.
We've all been reminding people that we have an election coming up. Please be careful who you vote for. I'm not trying to get you to vote for anybody other than someone who's going to do the job correctly. Instead of
my
all
neighbor's
this
got the perfect sign in his front yard. It says Republican, Democrat, and water, and he's got a big check mark by the water.
Yeah,
So.
Really,
who cares what party they're with? What are they going to do about the water?
Well said. Well said.
And I hope everybody votes that way. You know, who cares what party they're with? See how they stand on this subject and vote accordingly. So.
Thank you.
So let's
now
get
on
back.
a good side,
yeah,
I was down in the Keys, and the southeast wind has pushed all the mahi back in.
Ooh.
And I saw Jack Carlson yesterday come in with he had a boatload of people. He probably had 5 or 6 people on the boat. They came in with about 20.
Wow.
Nice.
My friends from Key Largo were fishing a dolphin tournament. I've yet to hear from them to see how they did because it was still going on when I came through. But there was a lot of dolphin being caught in Key Largo. Where I was staying in Key West, I was talking to Captain Marlon Scott from Fish Monster, and he had just come in with a load of blackfin tuna. So, you know, there's great fishing going on down in the Keys, and so, you know, there's a good side to some of this. There are some fish out there. So, and I heard Pam talking about the redfish she was catching.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, you know, I hope all the folks in Crystal River are doing well, and Tampa and all of that. I feel really bad, like you said, for the people Sarasota and South, you know, and over here on the East Coast too. But, you know, there's fishing out there. So
Don't let it stop
if you're
you.
looking for it, it's out there. What's that?
Don't let it stop you.
That's right. Don't put the brakes on.
Yeah.
So what articles do you have coming up in the magazine? Sorry, I'm switching the subject a little bit, but I love your magazine. I love what you guys do. You've got some great writers. What topics do you have there now?
Well, first of all, since you mentioned that, the deadline is tonight at midnight for people who want to submit articles for this next upcoming issue. I've got an article on Leanne, who is a race car driver and fisherman.
Wow.
We've got more coming from Pam Dolan over in Africa. Some great fishing stuff she's been doing and hunting reports from Africa. There's a lot of good stuff coming in. So, you know, and anybody who hasn't read the last one, check that one out too. Because Ben Trainer, who's has leatherneck backcountry fishing down in the Keys, is doing some stuff for veterans.
Nice.
We've got a veterans thing that we're doing a raffle for a custom Tortuga rod for. So there's a lot of stuff coming in the new issue. And like I said, if anybody wants to get stuff in, today is the day. Get it in by midnight tonight because I start work on the magazine tomorrow. So
Good point.
That is the Florida Fisherman Magazine. And the website real quick, if you would.
it's flfishmag.com, and if they have stuff to send in, they need to send it to pages@flfishmag.com.
I know Pam's got something. What do you got, Pam?
No, I just highly or strongly suggest that everybody get onto that magazine, subscribe to it. It's not just a pitch, but I really enjoy it. It's one of the magazines that I consider very current.
We need a story on Pam, too. So.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
And Riscala. And the show.
There we go.
Oh,
we
you
need
did?
to do we need something on your show. So I'll be talking to you tomorrow, Riscala. And we need something on Pam. So
okay, I don't know
we
if
need a Pam Worth report.
All right, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that done by midnight, but I'll see what I can do.
Well, you guys will make the exception. We'll give you till like Wednesday. How's that?
Thanks, Dad. Yeah, no, I've been having a great year and a lot of fun. So.
Oh, I know. I've been keeping up with you.
Oh no,
I've been doing a lot of fishing. So.
Yeah, I have. I love to travel and fish. I'm going to come down and we're going to get together one day too and go out. It'll be a good time.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
I always warn everybody. I'm like a 5-year-old. Okay, so everybody who fishes with me.
Oh, when you're fishing?
Oh my gosh.
So
yeah.
am I.
Okay,
we'll
good.
Be fine.
Okay, it's like
I mean
I have to.
That's one of.
I asked.
That's one of the. Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say, I ask people, I go, okay, is this for serious or are we just having a good time? Because I only have 2 modes. I have, let's catch fish. Or, hey guys, what's up? Okay, I don't have an in between. And if it's serious and you're catching fish and I'm not, I'm a 5-year-old and I am pouting. If I'm catching fish, oh my gosh, look, I'm a 5-year-old and I'm dancing across your boat.
Oh, my.
Well, you're not the only one, so everything should be fine. So.
I mean, to me, that's part of the beauty of going fishing is because it's kind of sort of like playing the lottery. You never know what you throw your bait out. You never really know what you're going to get. I mean, you can focus on certain things and you can go in particular areas where these things that you're focusing on are located, but there's never 100% guarantee that you're going to get what you want. You end up with something completely different, and it's a big surprise.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
we were deep dropping the other day out of Key West in about 700 feet of water.
Wow.
And you just don't know. When you're 700 feet of water, you have no idea what you're going to bring up. We caught some nice tilefish.
Wow.
But
dinner.
You just never know. Snowy grouper down there. There's all sorts of things down there. You just never know what's going to come up. So.
Wow. I don't have a reel that's big enough to hold 700 feet of water or feet of line.
Oh, well.
Do you use
come on with us then. We've got several of them. So.
I was going to say, do you use those auto cranks? The one that like Daiwa has one and I think Shimano does that reels itself back up?
Yeah. When you're pulling up 8 pounds of weight, plus whatever's on it. Yeah. It from 700 feet.
Yep.
It would take you hours.
I had that.
Well, Robert, forgive me. I'm up against the break and I've got to take this break. So before we go, real quickly, once again, the website?
Website is flfishmag.com. If you're sending in anything for the magazine, it's pages at flfishmag.com.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it, my friend. Looking forward to hearing from you again real soon. That's Robert with the Florida Fisherman Magazine. My friends, we will be right back.
Guys.
Don't go away.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 104 478 Roosevelt Boulevard, North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center. 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg. It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, we are back. It is the Fish Florida Show, and I am honored and privileged to have you tune in and listen and join in the fun. And by the way, if those of you who are only able to listen to part of the show and you'd like to hear the whole show, we do replay the show at 3 p.m., and we do archive the show. You can find us on YouTube, the Fish Florida Show. And so at any time, if you miss any of the shows, or if you listen to a show and you want to go back and you know, I wanted to learn more about that, there are archives available. And for those of you who are maybe up to something by 9 o'clock in the morning, you only hear part of the show, you can always hear the full show at 3 p.m. Here on WDBF Radio. So let's get back to where we left off, where I have the one and only Captain Hook. He's back there taking care of things for me in the background. And I have, of course, the one and only Pam Worth, who is one of the top female kayak anglers. And good morning to both of you, and thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my next guest is Peter Camarano, and Peter is a very interesting individual, has quite an extensive background, and one of the things that Peter does, and the reason I asked him to come on, well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons why I asked him to come on, but one of the things he does in particular is handmade lures, and I thought that was very, very interesting. The whole concept of making a lure by hand. I don't know that, in my experience, we see much of that anymore because everything is so automated nowadays. Everything's done by machine. And with a handmade lure, it's like you have, each one is an original, if you will. So anyway, good morning, Peter. Welcome to the Fish Florida Show.
Well, good morning. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. So what area are you from? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I am in Lantana,
okay,
Florida, which is just outside of West Palm Beach.
Okay. How's your fishing been over there?
Fishing has been pretty good. A lot of mahi, but pretty much on the small side. We see some wahoo have shown up. In fact, I've had a couple of clients recently put some 30 to 40 pounders wahoo in the boat just outside Palm Beach and Boynton Beach inlets.
Sweet.
So I've got to say, very
Nice.
pleased with the fishing that's going on.
Great.
Nice.
Now you said clients of yours, so are your lures basically targeting offshore species?
Oh yes. Our main species that we target, kingfish, wahoo, dolphin, tuna, and billfish.
Okay.
So we're looking at primarily the pelagics.
Okay, and are these fast troller lures that you're making? Slow trolling, jigging?
Well, we can go ahead and troll at what I call the standard speed, the 6 to 8 knots, and we use different weight heads in order to fish the water column. We've got a chugger or pusher that's on top. We have a 2-ounce bullet head that will at third, fourth weight back, put it about a foot underneath, and then there's the 5-ounce where if we also put that just beyond the 2-ounce, we can get down to 10 feet. Then on the high speed, obviously it's targeting wahoo, and we have a range of lures that the basic colors of black and purple, black and red, blue and white, pink and white. And we've also done some very interesting combinations for customers. But we put that on 10-aught stainless inline hooks. We build our own hook setups. We build that on 900-pound cable, and our leader standard is 400-pound cable.
Wow.
We just don't want to hear you say that you got bit off. But we can we can customize to just about whatever that our clients need. The one thing that I think is different from us is that there are lures out there that are literally works of art. To look at, let's say, a black bart lure. Not only is it effective in the water, it's also on the higher range as far as price goes. But to look at it, it is a work of art. I am still so very old school that this started as a hobby. And then when it started to get accepted, but I use simple cast lead, powder-coated paint, recessed three-dimensional eyes, a cut nylon, straight cut nylon skirt mixed in with Mylar. So that's our basic setup with it.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. Is there a place we can go to look at these?
Yes. Now, the website is the letter J, CAMM, CAMM, fishing.com. You can also get in touch with me direct, 561-502-7022. You will also find the main shop that we work out of is the X Generation Custom Rod Shop in Lantana.
Okay.
But you will find us pretty much, my distributors cover over 20 shops on the east coast of Florida, from Melbourne to the Keys, and then approximately another 20 to 30 shops on the west coast. But we're a big believer in supporting local tournaments. Primarily, it's our way to be able to contribute to a broad brush of charities, from our disabled veterans, our true heroes, to animal shelters, medical research. You can go ahead and there are local tournaments that support groups such as that. Abused Animals, Big Dog Fat Cat tournament in July. The Chasing Tails that's coming up in just a couple of weeks, run by Summer Warren in Jupiter, that goes for research for childhood diseases, and there's other charities along with that. So you can go ahead and find a broad way in which to participate, and also find out that the charities contribute to the local economy. Most boats average $1,500 a tournament for total expenses. If you've got a 100-boat tournament, consider that now becomes a great deal of money that's being poured back into the economy. It is a way to give back. But what I've also found out, that the community that we have is very small, very tight-knit. We'll go ahead and help and contribute to each other. And I've never found anyone to go ahead and to be, let's say, rude, crude, or socially unacceptable. It's been a great experience. I guess I got wound up a little bit there, didn't I?
No, that was great. Made my job easy.
I've got a couple of questions, Peter. I think I made it fairly clear that each one of these is handmade, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because of the health problems inherent with casting lead, I have that done by a group out of Chicago, Cast Industries. They're the largest caster of lead marine product. Primarily that. And
the components, all the components, if I'm not mistaken, you and I had previous conversation, all the components are made here in the United States.
That's correct. I've tried to interview each one of my suppliers, and they have assured me that nothing comes from outside the country, from the plastic tubing to the nylon hair to the mylar that's used. And we deal with, let's see, the heads are cast and painted in Chicago, outside of Chicago. The cut nylon hair comes from Sebastian. The plastic tubing for packaging comes from Massachusetts. The mylar flashing comes from Missouri. So it's pretty much all over not all over the country, but pretty much this side of the Mississippi.
Well, I think one of the ways that our economy, our American economy, has been brought down was because of the depletion of manufacturing within the United States. And I see that there is a gradual increase now. I was involved in manufacturing for about 11 years. I was involved in plastic manufacturing, running a production line, running an alcohol plant. But I have seen one of the things that has really hurt our economy is that it's being made overseas, it's being made dirt cheap, and everything is so expensive that people choose to use these inferior products, in my opinion, on many occasions, inferior products. They are cheaper, but you get what you pay for. Now, the whole reason I'm bringing this up is the best way we can invest in America is to find someone like Peter, who, first of all, is a small, veteran-owned business. Second of all, everything is handmade. If someone is going to take the time to make something by their hand, I can tell you from my experience that it's not like a production line where it's just got to be made and get it out the door and let's make the profit. They put pride and integrity into what they're doing. The next thing is that everything that he is purchasing that makes his product is here in the United States. So it's like investing in ourselves. I mean, how much better can it get? And my last question before I forget about this, Peter, I take it these lures, and I don't mean to be silly, but I take it these lures are not for casting, right? This is not something that you would cast.
No, these are all for trolling.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so no, it's not to where you're going to be able to sight cast, or you're going to like you go like casting for bass. All right. No, it's not something like that.
Yeah.
We're talking about from a moving platform. But it has been extremely interesting to see the development of the product. We've made changes as we went along, as customers and clients gave us feedback. I'm interested. I know the good that it does. Okay. I know that just with the what was it, last weekend with the West Palm Beach Fishing Club Full Moon Wahoo tournament. I know that it took it took a third place there. I know that on Father's Day weekend, another different type took a second place there. So I know the good that comes. What I'm interested in is someone that can look at it and tell me, Pete, you need to consider this. It's not doing what it should be here. And that's what so I can go ahead and refine. And we've made some major changes over the years because of that. So that's what I'm talking about, the small, tight-knit community. There is so much that is being done.
I think you told me that Mike Simcoe was one of the people that uses your lures.
Oh, yes. Mike is the one that got the third place in the Wahoo tournament just a couple of last week. But Mike is also in the Bahamas, has taken first place in a Mahi tournament with our lures. So Mike has been a advisor and mentor, if you will.
I bring him up only because I've had him on as a guest a couple of times. He's very interesting and always has a lot of so much information for us. But Peter, I am up against a break, my friend. I've got to take this break coming up here. I want to thank you for taking the time to call in. Peter Camarano. You can reach him at 561-502-7022. You can find his website at J, like John, cammfishing.com. It's C-A-M, like Mary, two of them, C-A-M-M fishing.com. Peter, have a great weekend, sir. Thanks again. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket. Hit ignition. And then
nothing. Ha 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 ha. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace.
I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They've reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan.
Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now.
Say a prayer for peace.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing in Florida when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing in Florida. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
All right, we are back. It is an absolutely gorgeous day, and you are listening to the Fish Florida Show, and my co-host, the one and only, Pam Worth. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. I think I had too much coffee today. I am on it.
And my producer, whom I am ever so grateful for. Good morning, Mr. Captain Hook.
Sir, good morning. Good morning.
You know, a lot of the times we talk about fishing, and it seems to be that much of it is about saltwater fishing, but there's a whole another aspect of fishing that I like to talk about more and more because there is so much interest in it, and that is freshwater or brackish water, depending upon where you're at. And Pam, do you do freshwater?
Yes, I do occasionally. It's not something I target. I definitely do it when I'm in South Florida because I love peacocks, the peacock bass. That is, like, I think one of the strongest hitting fish out there, especially for freshwater.
Yeah, wow. Well, I have a friend of mine who's come on. His name's Mike Lindell, and he puts on a tournament, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he puts on, as well as what's going on in the freshwater days out here in Florida. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Riscala. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So I see that you have a tournament, King of the Glades tournament. I'm assuming that's bass.
Yes, we run the largest Everglades-based bass trail in Florida. It starts in January, the first Sunday of January. We usually average around 100 boats a tournament,
Wow.
and we travel between the Everglades and Lake Okeechobee.
Okay. For most people, they kind of think Lake Okeechobee is the Everglades when you're fishing for bass. What kind of areas
Yes,
are you talking about?
Yes, Okeechobee is the headwaters for the Everglades. We start the series off in Clewiston. I was actually there yesterday. I fished a tournament, the Roland Martin's tournament series there yesterday. I only had about 14 pounds. Didn't do very well, but took 28 pounds to win. A lot of 20-pound bags. So there was a lot of fish caught yesterday up on Okeechobee.
Nice.
Wait a minute. Did I hear a lot of 20-pound bass?
No. A bag of 5.
20-pound bag. 5 fish limits.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, in the tournaments, we weigh into 5 largest bass.
Okay. Yeah, my hearing is going. I thought he said 20-pound bass. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, where are these bass?
Now, unlike saltwater or, a lot of the tournaments I fish are CPR. They're catch, photograph, and release. But I do offshore fishing, which is by weight. And, we're bringing those in, weighing them, and then they're dinners for people. The bass tournaments are a little different, aren't you? You're a little bit more CPR?
Yes, well, we release all the fish that we catch, but we keep them alive until weigh in. Like yesterday, I caught 5 fish real quick and tagged them with a calling system, a lipless calling system, because we don't like to poke holes in their lips. So we use these calling tags that have clip-ons, and we start off with 5 fish, and throughout the day, if you catch one bigger, you keep swapping them out until you get your 5 largest, bass in your live well.
Now, when they weigh them in, is there a penalty if the fish aren't swimming?
Yes, most tournaments give a 1/4 ounce per dead fish, and if you're going for the largest bass, if you're, they won't allow you to weigh the largest bass of the tournament, and if it's dead in most tournaments.
Excellent.
Wow.
So it's tough to keep them alive in the summertime. I mean, if any bass is going to die in the live well, it's usually during the summer, but they've come out with so much more live well systems, like bubblers, and then they got caps that go on top of your lids that actually, when you're driving the boat, it forces clean air into the live wells, to help with the summertime heat.
Oh, that's clever.
To keep them alive.
Yeah, that's clever. Somebody had their thinking cap on. Yeah.
Yes, and to be honest with you, when I was on Okeechobee yesterday, I started out offshore on the reefs. It was real windy. There was 3-foot rollers. We couldn't really stay on the water we were fishing, so we went up to the place called the Monkey Box, which is on the east side of the lake. We did a lot of running around. Didn't see a lot of algae left on the lake. I mean, I'm sure there's some out in the center of the lake, but getting back, because I know that's a hot topic right now, especially on the east and west coast, but I did a lot of research on this algae bloom stuff. The red bloom has nothing to do with Okeechobee at all.
Correct.
That's created in the ocean, and that's that. The green algae, is created by phosphorus and other stuff that's in Okeechobee, but only 15% of the green algae in Okeechobee is actually from Okeechobee. The rest is from up north. From Orlando, and the Kissimmee chain dumps it into Okeechobee. And then when they leave the water high in the wintertime thinking there's a drought, it gets, and then there isn't a drought, they have to release the water. And unfortunately, the east and west coast gets a bunch of green algae, but only 15% of that algae is actually from Okeechobee. So we're trying, we got a bunch of people together, Raymond up at Roland Martins, everybody, we got a huge group trying to educate people and trying to slow the flow of water from the Kissimmee chain into Okeechobee, like slow it down, create reservoirs north of the lake to start cleaning up that water before it even gets to Okeechobee.
Excellent.
Well, thank you. I greatly, this is a passion of mine. As a father, as a grandfather, I'm quite upset about what's going on. This last episode of this has just been disastrous for people on the West Coast, and the East Coast for that matter, but particularly on the West Coast. It seems to have really hit them hard over there, and we have had a massive kill. It's not just a fish kill. This should tell people something. There are mammals that are coming up on shore dead. We have dolphins that have come up. A shark, a whale shark has come up. Turtles have come up. Manatees have come up. These are not water-breathing species. So that should tell you something about how toxic all of this is. It's just, to me, has broken my heart to see what's going on.
Yes, it's devastating, and until we get some government officials in there that really understand and know the system, I don't know if it'll be fixed. I mean, right now, up on the Kissimmee River chain, from the years of farming on the sides of, first of all, the Kissimmee River used to have winding branches with estuaries and stuff to help clean the water before it got to Okeechobee. Well, they decided to straighten out the Kissimmee and just make it a straight canal. And that was a huge mistake. And the farmland that's on the sides of the Kissimmee River have enough phosphorus in the soil now, even if they stop farming altogether, to feed Okeechobee for the next 50 years.
My goodness.
So there's, the easy thing for uneducated people to do is just say, oh, it's big sugar, it's sugar cane. Sugar, they don't back pump water in Okeechobee unless there's a severe drought. So all the sugarcane water flows south from the south side of Okeechobee down into the Everglades. we created down here a bunch of new STA areas to wash that water out, and the water's actually cleaner from the sugarcane farmers. The problem is coming from up north, and they've already just released a study. There's over 3,000 septic tanks leaking, homeowner septic tanks leaking into the soil up north in Orlando, in the Kissimmee area. That's just key. That's going to continue to feed the phosphorus coming into the lake. So what they really need to focus on is, cleaning that water up before it even gets to Okeechobee. So they're starting to put the branches back on the Kissimmee, try to flood in some things. One of the other things that is hurting this system down here is overspraying. They've completely, they get $3 million a year to spray Okeechobee. All the grass is being sprayed down to nothing. So
wait a minute, Mike,
yes,
wait a second.
Yes.
What are they spraying?
Well, they're supposed to be spraying the hyacinth and the plants that are non-native. But what happens is they get a budget of about $3 million a year. So as those plants are disappearing, they still want to spray because they still want to get that money. We literally got a guy on film from Thursday dumping thousands of gallons of herbicide in the water just to empty out his tanks because he had to, he wants to go back and refill to keep that money flowing and to get paid. Most of the guys that spray Okeechobee aren't even from Florida. They're contracted from Georgia. So they go in and they're just nuking these areas. And what happens? The plant life dies, sits on the bottom, puts a black mucky bottom from all the dead plants. And they're not being replaced with native plants. Unfortunately, hydrilla is one of the most water filtering cleaning plants there is on the planet, but it's not native. So they went in, they sprayed Lake Istapoga, they sprayed the Lake Ida chain in Delray, they sprayed Okeechobee, got rid of most of the hydrilla, and now they're nothing but mud pits. They're turning into mud pits, and we want them to stop the spraying as well, because if you get that stuff coming in from up north, if you leave the plant life alone and let it grow, it's going to filter off that water. But with no plants, there's no filter.
Wow.
Short-sighted.
So we're fighting a bunch of different issues, at the same time. And to be honest with you, I looked at the guys who are running for governor. They had them up at the lake. They took them on boat rides. These guys have no clue. Rick Scott has no clue, and I'm an independent. I don't, I vote for who I think's the best, regardless of whatever they are. And none of these people have a clue of what even where Lake Okeechobee's at.
Well,
so
he's had how many years to try to take care of this? How many years have gone by? And it's not just him, not just to point him out, but he is the governor, but there's other people involved. This has been going on for a long time. And now what's happened is, we've poisoned our system so badly that you can't hide from it. There are places in the state that if you go swimming, you are literally taking your life in your hands. That's how bad it is. And that's inexcusable. It's unacceptable. And if I'm not mistaken, the bottom line about all of this is money. And you can't, once it's gone, it's gone. I don't like to harp on this subject because it is an unpleasant subject to talk about. But we can't look a blind eye at this. This is our bodies are what?
Yeah, Rick Scott just got approved for $300 million to dig a dig hole south of Okeechobee to store some extra water in case so they don't have to pump it to the east-west coast. But that's not going to solve the problem. Digging a bigger hole south of Okeechobee, they need to dig north of Okeechobee and clean all that farmland and all that. I understand that most of the, government officials live north and they want their houses to be pretty up north, but stop using Roundup, stop using, phosphorus-based fertilizers and, quit sending that water down south. It's 90% of it comes from Orlando with all those golf courses and all those houses leaking septic tanks.
Wow.
It's a crazy situation. Plus all the farmland that's up there. Like I said, there's enough phosphorus in the land up there to keep, punishing Okeechobee for the next 50 years.
And that is really sad. That really is sad. The good part.
Water management made a huge mistake, which I wouldn't want to be in their shoes. But water management predicted we were going to be in a drought situation. So in December, when the water was cooler and there was no algae, they decided not to release it. They decided to keep it because we were going to be in a drought situation. And what happened? We got a ton of rain up north. It forced all that water in Okeechobee, filled it up to the point to where they have to release it. So it's all there's so many different issues, but number one is protecting the wildlife. I live in the Everglades. We can't take a bunch of water down here because we got birds and animals that are going extinct that depend on low water, and we just can't. That's why they have to dump it east-west, because we can't take any more water down here. We'll lose all our deer. We'll lose all this wildlife if they do. So it's a tough situation.
I'm up against a break, Mike. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your report. Have a great day, my sir. Thank you, sir.
You too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. It is the Fish Florida Show.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com. WDBFradio.com.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Hey, this is Captain Hook for Statewide Pest Control Services. They've been serving the west coast of Florida since 1987. Statewide does it all. Pest control, termites, lawns, mosquitoes, tent fumigations, etc. This announcement is from their mold division. Since Hurricane Charlie in 2004, all their personnel are certified in mold and moisture control. Their two-step services are guaranteed to get you back in your home quicker and in most cases paid by your insurance company. Give them a call at 877-488-7378. That's statewide pest control services for all your pest and mold control needs, serving Florida from Pasco to Lee counties. Statewide pest control services, 877-488-7378. 877-488-7378. That's 877-488-7378. You're listening to WDBFradio.com, a tune-in station.
I grab my fishing pole and cast it in the water. I fish until dawn. Oh my, I caught a shark. I'm fishing and blowing on when the sun shines all day. They call me a grouper. Stop fishing and blowing on. Oh yeah.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
And a very good morning to you out there, and thank you for taking the time to listen in and allowing us to share with you what we've got and fishing reports. But it's kind of hard to stay away from this particular subject because it is affecting so many people here in Florida. And it's not a pleasant subject, but unfortunately, I believe it is something that is and must be discussed. If we just continue to allow this to go on, I believe that we may reach a point of no return. It's not to be over-exaggerate the situation, but that's my fear, that we could reach a point of no return, or the return would take so long, maybe even 2 generations long, for everything to come back the way that it should be. And if we don't talk about it, if we don't learn about it, if we don't have knowledge about what is going on, then we're ignorant. And when you don't know what's going on and you are not able to make a decision, in my lifetime, I've always learned someone else will make that decision for you. And in many cases, that decision is not in your best interest. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that in a moment. I have a guest that's coming on who has firsthand knowledge of this and who has witnessed it. But in the meantime, I have Pam Worth, who is one of the top female kayak anglers here in Florida. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning. I'm so privileged to be on every Sunday with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, listen, I love having you on. You always bring such a unique perspective, and I love the idea that you're there literally at the water level, experiencing what's going on. And then, of course, I have Captain Hook back there in the background taking care of everything for me. Thank you, Captain Hook. Appreciate it, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So my next guest is John Heim. John is part of the South Florida Clean Water Management. Let's try that again. The South Florida Clean Water Movement, and an activist basically, and someone who has seen firsthand, someone who has physically seen firsthand what's going on, and I wanted to have him come back on. He has been gracious by being on a couple of times previously, bringing light. And again, I believe for us who are living here, if we want to find a solution for this, the first step is knowledge of what is going on and how it's going on, so that we know how to approach the answer to all of this. So anyway, John, good morning, sir. Thank you for taking the time to call in.
Hey, thank you. Good morning to everybody. First off, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is John Heim. I'm the co-founder of a group called the South Florida Clean Water Movement. We're based here in Southwest Florida, but we branch out throughout the whole state. Wanted to take the opportunity to thank you and your listeners for having us, and also, give a shout out to the South Florida Clean Water Movement. Over 50,000 members online listening right now.
Excellent. Is that part of Captains for Clean Water too, or is that a branch off?
No, we're a completely different organization. However, we work hand in hand with Captains for Clean Water. The difference this year, because it's so catastrophic, is it does not matter what group you are, what organization you are, what community member you are, what politician you are locally. Everybody is all in this time.
Yeah, and it seems this problem is a lot more complicated than people think. I mean, originally what we heard is it's the water from Okeechobee. But what Mike just said in our last segment is a lot of it's not Okeechobee. It's what's coming in from Orlando between septic tanks and over-fertilization of lawns, golf courses, and farming area up there.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a multi-layered situation here when it comes to the Lake Okeechobee debacle. We're talking about sheet flow where, many years ago, the reconstruction of the Kissimmee River, where it used to be in a zigzag manner, was trenched. And, that basically shuffles the water down in a high flow towards the lake. What we're trying to get done here, through projects such as SEP and SERP, is to, realign nature's way of the Kissimmee River and slow the flow down. That's, partially correct, but what we're talking about here geographically on the south end is we're talking about major corporations back pumping their chemicals into the lake when it comes to irresponsible agriculture. That is not coming from the north. That is exactly coming from the source. And, putting harmful agents into the lake and having the lake completely untreated to the point where it is now 90% full of cyanobacteria, and the discharges come to the east and the west. We understand people's philosophies from the north, and it is a state problem. But the point being is, here we are geographically as a reality in a state of emergency due to the lake being in a condition of 90% cyanobacteria and still receiving discharges to the east and the west. And that is a fact that you cannot, do this to communities on either side of the state when it comes to dispensing harmful agents. This is in violation of the Clean Water Act.
Can I stop you for a second? I don't understand,
Sure.
and excuse my ignorance, what Cyanobacteria.
Cyanobacteria.
Okay, what is that?
That is the blue-green algae, ma'am.
Okay.
Technical term for it. This is an extremely harmful agent that will, upon exposure, could cause liver damage immediately. Long-term effects are into the neurological avenues and your nervous system, to where it can create problems in 15 years or less of ALS, Parkinson's disease, and, many others. So we're talking about a harmful agent that, here's the worst part, is not even recognized by the state of Florida as a harmful agent. So this is a harmful HAB, harmful algae bloom that we're dealing with here, especially on the East Coast and the West Coast. And the state does not even recognize it as a harmful, agent to begin with. So talk about having your bases covered.
From my days way back when I worked with a variety of different chemicals, anything with cyano in it means that it depletes oxygen. It works when there is no oxygen. So this stuff, and I don't pretend to know what this algae is. I just can tell you by the name, this stuff works by depleting oxygen, because that's how it gets stronger. The less it absorbs the oxygen and gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's probably one of the main reasons that we're seeing this huge fish kill. And John, correct me if I'm mistaken, the red tide is a cyclical thing. It's something that is bicycle, that has been tracked for quite some time. But as time has progressed, instead of it being in its normal cycle, it seems to be going longer and longer and longer. With these last discharges from the lake, these discharges have acted the simplest way I can put it, have acted kind of like a steroid for this red tide, as they call it. And the mixing of the two algae has caused a massive fish kill.
Absolutely correct. Great analogy. To talk about it even further, you're talking about cyanobacteria-laden river coming down through the Caloosahatchee via the Lake Okeechobee discharge is full of nutrients and high phosphorus levels. And, the red tide had been hanging on the southern tip of Charlotte County, just our neighbor, and, hanging almost to the river. And then the shore as it would be, the red tide bloom had drifted south just enough to meet up with the high nutrient level and, phosphorus levels, Lake Okeechobee discharges, and created a mega bloom. So you're talking about all day, every day, adding gasoline to red tide, basically, and it exploding and spreading beyond belief to at least, I believe now it's up to 180 miles of West Coast to where all of these communities are now affected.
My goodness. And they're continuing to discharge, am I correct?
They are continuing to discharge. The Army Corps just recently had a meeting here in Cape Coral, Florida, and it was well attended. Probably about 500 people had showed up to show the outrage. And the Army Corps' answers are the usual. The water has to go somewhere. When asked to Lieutenant Colonel Jennifer Reynolds by myself, when I got a chance to speak, we talked about LORS. LORS is the Lake Okeechobee release schedule. And when I asked her when, the last time LORS was updated, she had told the crowd, in 2004. And so in other words, what is the schedule time frame that we are working off of presently when it comes to LORS? Now remember, LORS is the Lake Okeechobee release schedule. That's what they deem the release is from, and that's how they guide it. The year that they're going off of presently is 2008. That is 10 years behind schedule when it comes to releases. They're basing their releases off of a schedule that is literally 10 years old and not updated.
How sad. How sad. And the basing of their decisions upon a 10-year-old finding is having absolute disastrous results. And I'm guessing at this point, but I don't think I'm very far off. I'm having absolute disastrous results for tens of thousands of people throughout the state.
Correct. I mean, you're talking about an ecological disaster swiftly turning into an economical collapse. I could speak presently for where I'm at geographically tiny Fort Myers Beach, Florida, ground zero of the Lake Okeechobee discharges. And, in the past 7 days, we've witnessed, a multitude of businesses closing due to the water and, the absolute toxins in the air from the red tide and cyanobacteria mixing. We've seen hotel early checkouts upward towards 70 to 90%. This is falling into a free fall collapse of communities that depend 100% on tourism. Don't get us wrong. We are not looking at it as if we're against anyone or agriculture. It's just that we're getting intelligent enough as communities, we're not activists, as community members, to point the fingers at the right people because the dots connect. And how the dots connect is irresponsible water management. You have to speak highly when it comes to the finger pointing of the South Florida Water Management District. It says it right in their name. They're in charge of the management. So when you see blue-green algae coming down the river, aka cyanobacteria, that spells mismanagement. So a lot of finger pointing between the federal government and the state government, but make no mistake about it, this is a government situation to where they would rather have the best interest of special interests like the sugar industry and such like that in mind, rather than the people who was actually their constituents. And here we are on both coasts, the East Coast Stewart region and the West Coast, Southwest Florida, completely falling into an economical collapse with absolutely no aid provided. The only aid that's been provided is a state of emergency, which gave funds for cleanup. And that could be a whole other topic. Cleanup is done, when it comes to scooping the dead fish up off the beach. And then you go into cleanup of cyanobacteria, where our county commissioners here in Lee County were granted, funds from the state. And they even admit this is an experimental operation when it comes to moving and removing the toxic blue-green algae. All scientists and myself agree that you do not want to disturb or move the cyanobacteria blue-green algae patches, because when you do, it becomes most toxic, it becomes airborne, And that's one factor. Factor number two is where are you going to put it? They're talking about deep well injections and pumping cyanobacteria into the ground of Florida.
Oh, no. It's got to be, don't you think almost it's some sort of incinerator where it burns it so much it burns everything?
We do have incinerators like that.
I believe the fish and, their unfortunate fate of, certain death in the path of this ecological disaster will be going to the incinerator. But when it comes to the blue-green algae, their big plan, from what I understand, is to collect this, self-admitting as county commissioners of Lee County that this is experimental. And they're spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars on this removal, little by little. We're talking about vacuums to go out there and scoop it up. And what to do with it is also a big, question, but it seems to be the direction they're going is DIW, DWI, deep well injection.
We can't allow
and if
that. If you pump cyano-laden bacteria sludge into the limestone of Florida, number one, the limestone is too porous, and it will create sinkholes. Number two, you dare get it into the aquifer, there's no turning back. You will taint our water for history. Right.
Oh, that's people. If you're listening, contact the commissioners. It seriously cannot go. I'm just putting that down. It cannot go in the ground. End of discussion.
Correct. Yeah, we implore everyone listening to contact the Lee County commissioners because these people are taking the approach of, literally covering up the problem.
Out of sight, out of mind.
That's
kind of
creating
thing.
a bigger problem in 3, 4, 5 years. That's creating an almost impossible correction.
Well, and it's just a metaphor, just the same as the beach. The beach, in other words, forever they've been saying there is no cyanobacteria on the Gulf side here on Fort Myers Beach. Okay. Cyanobacteria breaks down microscopic, and you can't see it like you would in a canal where it accumulates. The tide comes in, tide goes out. When the tide goes out, it leaves a green stain on the sand that trails 7 miles down our beach. That's the length of our island. And it is proof of the cyanobacteria. Think of it as a blank canvas. And once the wave comes up, it leaves, back with tide, and it leaves its creation. And that creation would be the remnants of the cyanobacteria. So it's in our sand. We're talking about pumping it into our land. What exactly is going on here? When it comes to the responses. So what I've been observing in the last several days and weeks when it comes to response to the ecological disaster, I think a lot of the responses are just as threatening as the ecological disaster itself.
Great. Wow. The guest that was on prior to you, Mike Lindell, he is a fisherman that primarily focuses on the freshwater, Okeechobee, and that kind of stuff. It puts on a tournament for back in there. He was telling us a little bit about what's going on, and in agreement with what you were saying, it's coming from up north. Some of it is coming from up north, and what you're saying is much of it is literally being back pumped into the lake. And if this is the case, then we need to hold these people responsible.
Look, let me explain it like this. They're going to tell you, the people in charge, Army Corps, South Florida Water Management District, the state of Florida, that they no longer back pump. Okay, so your evidence is this, and you ask yourself as not an activist or an expert or, ecologist, you ask yourself, okay, the entire southern part of Florida has, I guess you would call it topsoil water on it, right? In other words, water's everywhere in South Florida. Okay, the only point and spot that you can point at in Florida that has business as usual dry is the sugar fields in the EAA. So you tell me how we're dealing with a wet summer where everything is flooded in South Florida and the water has to go somewhere, except for one particular spot in the map of Florida, and that's the sugar industry.
So are you saying that the normal flow of water would go across their land? Is that what it is?
I'm saying when rain comes in heavy doses and floods communities to the point of topsoil rain it's top surface rain, like when it's obviously on top of the land and you can see it in small, puddles. The one place after heavy rains that has none of that is the sugar industry. The rest of the state does. So you talk about water management, that spells right there the water management district's best interest is in the sugar industry's productions and not the rest of the state of Florida when it comes to, managing our water, such as flood.
So, am I correct in pointing the finger then at sugar? Because some people say it's not just sugar; it's it's other things as well.
I think it's multi-layered.
Well, it's multi-layered, correct. You can point your finger at, quite a few angles of this. It is so multi-layered, but make no question about it. The sugar industry has an extremely large role to play. They would not be lobbying to the highest degree of paying off all of our politicians for their best interest if they had, not been guilty of something here and want something for their best interest. Now, you don't have to be, again, a scientist or an ecologist or an activist to know that. It's just common sense that you connect the dots and follow the money. It starts to tell you. And their answer will be this. Well, that's the way the political game is played nowadays with PACs and super PACs and contributions. It would be no different than, say, big tobacco or oil or the NRA. And they're correct. So my answer to that is to my own community of Southwest Florida and Florida in general, South Florida. The tourism industries and the real estate industries need to join together and become a super PAC themselves. If it's going to be this way, where money is what the best interest result is to our lawmakers, then I think we're missing a golden opportunity between real estate and tourism coming together and creating a super PAC of their own and in the name of clean water. Because if they don't, they're going to lose everything.
Well, John, I've run way over, but this subject is so important. I've got to take a break. I'm way behind. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm looking forward to having you back on, giving us updates, and thank you for what you do. This is an activist. He says somebody who's doing this on his own, and he's suffered personally from all of this, and we need more people like that. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riskella. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip. You can find your tide reports, buoy reports, get a fishing license, and even find someone to go fishing with. Plus great products and services from all our media partners. And oh yeah, you can get the Fish Florida Show on the app. Sundays at 8 a.m. Eastern here on the WDBF radio networks. So download the Fish Florida mobile app to plan your boating, fishing, or hunting trip and tune in.
Battles aren't won solely on the field. That's a common misconception. Battles are won within. Over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. In that place where promises are kept. Promises to oneself.
This is a physical training event.
Promises to one's community.
Helping people move debris out of their house.
Promises to one's country. In the heart of every Marine, you'll find a promise. A promise forever kept. A promise of battles won.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit
ignition. And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
It took me a long time to be able to say Chandler has cancer, because that is such a scary word. St. Jude takes care of absolutely everything. And knowing that we don't have to pay for all of the medical expenses, that's huge.
St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
St. Jude is uniquely positioned to advance the cures of pediatric cancer, I think better than any other institution in the world. The contributions make a big difference.
Donors are important to us because you get the feeling that you have a team behind you. We have the resources and we have the focus. And so if St. Jude doesn't do it, who will?
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
My vehicle was sent 6 feet in the air in a ball of fire. I thought I was going to die.
It ripped my arm off. It broke my right femur.
I took such a hard blow to the head that my retina was torn apart.
Say a prayer for peace. I'm Trace Adkins. I want to tell you about these true American heroes and how you can show your thanks by helping them through Wounded Warrior Project.
They reached out to us as a family, and they never forgot about us.
The job of helping thousands of our wounded warriors rebuild their lives is massive and growing every day. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Many of these service members suffer traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder.
They helped me basically put my life back together.
If it wasn't for Wounded Warrior Project, I would be a statistic right now. I would have been one of those soldiers who came home and committed suicide.
I'm in the fields of Vietnam, the mountains of Afghanistan. Your gift today of $19 a month can help us provide the programs and services desperately needed by our wounded service members. Call or go online with a pledge and you'll receive this Wounded Warrior Project blanket. Make that call now. Say a prayer for peace.
It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, we are back again. It is an honor and a privilege to have you listen in. And one of the things that we have focused on today and that I believe is important is knowledge about what's going on around us. And if you missed any part of the show, we do replay the show at 3 p.m. here on WDBF Radio. And if you're unable to hear that, the show is archived. We do have archives on our website, which is fishfloridashow.com. And also we have archives on YouTube, which again is the Fish Florida Show on YouTube. So anytime that you want to go back and review anything, it's available for you. And don't ask for any subscriptions or anything like that. But we'd appreciate if you'd go on Facebook. We do have a page on Facebook. Give us a like. It helps us become more relevant in searches when people are looking for us. And maybe even possibly follow us and learn a little bit more about fishing. As I have almost every show I do, I learn and learn and learn. I don't pretend to be a professional. I'm just somebody who just grew up around fishing, and it was a very strong part of the family bond. Very fond memories growing up with my dad taking the whole family fishing. And many times it was typically every weekend. One day of that weekend we would go, and we go fishing somewhere. Grew up in Miami. Sometimes we go all the way down to the Keys. We went as far as Key West a couple of times, but typically would end up around Islamorada or somewhere near there, and fishing off the bridges. Nothing special, but just having an enjoyable time and making memories. And of course, catching fish, catching dinner. And he would take us as far as Naples. We would go to the other side of the state. Naples had, I think they still do, had a wonderful pier, where we would go fishing literally all day long. We'd be out there fishing off of this pier. And, when I would get bored of fishing, I'd go, swimming. So for me, it was like paradise as a kid. I'd fish to my heart's content. And then when I was tired of that, we'd go swimming and, literally get physically tired, pass out for a while and do it all over again. We typically, when we went to Naples, it was a 3-day thing, because it took a little bit of time to get over there. So anyway, a little bit of background on me, and my co-host, Pam Worth, one of the top female kayak anglers. Good morning, Miss Pam.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
It's an honor and a privilege to have you on, my dear. You always bring such a unique perspective. And then, of course, we have Captain Hook back there in the background. He's thanks to him, he's the one who's doing all the dirty work, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. He answers the phone, he mixes, he checks the volume levels, and just kind of keeps things moving slowly. Maybe I should call him the oil in the gears. Maybe that's a better description. Thank you, Captain Hook. Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir. No problem. No problem.
So, it's an unpleasant subject, but I really believe it is something that we need to discuss because our bodies are at least 65% water. And if we completely contaminate and this is a growing problem. This isn't something that right now it's limited, but it's growing. It's getting bigger and larger and people don't want to talk about it. It's an unpleasant subject. I'd rather talk about something that's more pleasant and more acceptable. And I would love to be the one who brings that to you, but the way that I'm wired is it's important for us to know what's going on. It's important for us to know if there is a way to stop this, how to do that, who to speak with, that kind of thing. Right now, the best thing I can tell people, if you're here in South Florida, get a hold of whatever representative you have, whether it's a district or our representatives up in Tallahassee. Get a hold of them and let them know how you feel. Because I can't imagine anybody would feel good about walking out in their backyard and literally smelling like a sewer. It's that bad, and not being able to breathe. Not only just because of the odor, but because of the toxicity of this stuff. It's just horrible. And then we have people like John Hein, who is an activist. Now, John has gone all the way up to Washington to bring attention to what's going on. But not only that, he has personally suffered from this. He if I understand right, he works at a restaurant, an Oceanside restaurant. They've shut the restaurant down. So this is, again, we're just at the tip of the iceberg of people being affected by this, by, I believe, like John said, irresponsible management of our water. And we can do better, my friends. We deserve better. And really that's what it boils down to for me. I don't want to get to a point where we can't go fishing anywhere anymore. When I was a kid, I could go fishing just about anywhere I wanted. That's turning to be not the case anymore. It's turning to be something completely different. And that's very disturbing for me, especially for my kids and my grandkids, because that's one of the greatest things that we have here in Florida. We have water around 3 sides of our state. We get to the point where we can't enjoy that, then what's the purpose of being here other than it's hot and hotter? Right? So, anyway, I'll get off of that and let's talk a little bit about kayak fishing because, we haven't heard about that in a while.
Kayak fishing. Where do you want to start, young man?
Where, you were telling me, where were you yesterday? Down you're on the East Coast, right?
Friday, I was on the East Coast out of the Cocoa Beach area. And then I drove back across the state, stayed at the cutest bed and breakfast, Nature Inn. I love that. And, fished Crystal River yesterday.
And how was that? Now, kayak? You were kayak or you were with a friend?
Friday was with a friend because we went offshore and it was a pretty rough. As you know, I was supposed to take my sister and my nephew offshore fishing out in the Boynton area. But with the east winds kicked up, that's kind of why I asked you what the weather was like. The east winds kicked up so hard and there was a 60% chance of thunder showers on Friday that I didn't want to take my 16-year-old nephew out the first time and have him battle rollers coming in and possibly flip. But that's not fair.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah, so Brian and Nellie and I decided that we're just going to reschedule. Brian's headed to Panama. There's a big tournament, kayak tournament qualifier down in Panama next week. I'm going next year. I didn't quite make it. Budget wouldn't allow it this year, but next year I'm going to be there.
Wow. So you've had a little bit of not only traveling, but a little bit of experience on both sides of the state within a couple of days.
Exactly. It was, I haven't posted the snook yet on my Instagram page. I did post the big jack we caught, but, Xavier and I were fishing for about 3.5 hours, and between us, we had 6 snook all of them were over 30 inches. And I think our best was right around 34. It was a great day.
Wow. And what do you find, is most attractive for the snook? I know that you prefer, I think you're peculiar, but, with regard to lures, but you prefer, I can't remember the name of them now. My mind went blank.
I use artificials. I use a lot of different lures. If I'm in really skinny water, I love topwater. I am a topwater junkie. I love the explosion and the whole fight with a topwater lure. But it just depends where we were. And like I said, what we used Friday was grunts. They're kind of a small little bait fish. And like I said, 3.5 hours of total pulling drag. I'll be sore. I was sore afterwards. Yeah. Wow. Xavier's with Close Encounters Fishing. And if you're looking for upper East Coast trip, definitely he's the guy to go to. I've fished with him 3-4 times now, and we've always pulled big fish. Always. I'm going back over there and fishing in September. I've got a couple tournaments coming up.
And who is that again? Say it again.
I'm going to say his name wrong. It's Xavier, and he's with
Xavier.
Yeah, he's with Close Encounters Fishing.
Fishing or fishes?
Fishing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Close Encounters Fishing.
Yeah, he's Close Encounter Fishing. Excellent guide over there. And then yesterday I was fishing with friends. Paul had a birthday, so we kind of celebrated. Did well. Got 6 reds, all on artificials, different type of artificials.
Nice.
I'd say the lure of the day was a jig head made by Unfair Lure, and their smack tail. And the collar of the smack tail I used was motor oil. And it was just kind of like bobbing. I know, right? It's kind of, Mirror has a Little John that's kind of the same color, and that's called Golden Brim. I think it's Golden Brim. So basically it had gold and a little green in it, and the water up in that area is a little tiny bit like tan, or like, because of all the rivers flowing into it. It's a little, I don't want to say brown, but it's kind of that, the water that you see when you get a lot of pine trees, kind of that golden color. So this was perfect. I was just kind of throwing it around the mud lines, and it was perfect.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a break. Please don't go away. It is the Fish Florida Show. I am your host, Riscala, with the one and only Pam Worth, and you know where we'll be.
You're listening to the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you own a laser printer, copier, or a fax? Well then, listen close to this announcement. Laser Technologies has been providing high-quality, frustration-free toner cartridges that are guaranteed not to harm your equipment for over 20 years. Laser Technologies will save you on your supplies with high quality and fast delivery. Savings up to 50%. Laser Technologies supplies toner, imaging drums, developer and cartridges for most of the major brands. For a price quote, send an email to service@laser-technologies.com. Include your printer make and model for your part number. Call us at 561-792-9600. That's 561-792-9600. Laser Technologies, providing 100% of the quality at a fraction of the price. 561-792-9600.
Hi folks, I'm Roger from Rogers Gotcha Motoring. If you need a local auto repair shop, Rogers Gotcha Motoring will take care of all of your automotive repair needs. If you need something as simple as an oil change or as complex as an engine overhaul, I have the latest in technology and the knowledge to get the job done right. We've been servicing Pinellas County since 1994 and are conveniently located at 3700 5th Avenue North in St. Petersburg, Florida. If you need service, call now at 727-327-1830 or visit my website at www.rogersgotchamotoring.com or like my Facebook page at Rogers Gotcha Motoring for a complete list of all of our services. So come on over to Rogers, that's me, and get your car service today. And don't forget to shop and support local business. Call now to book your appointment at 727-327-1830. That's 727-327-1830, or swing on by.
Que Pasa Mexican Cantina is where friends and neighbors come to connect, share, and celebrate one another in a festive, casual atmosphere. Offering rich, robust flavors of authentic Mexican cuisine, we use only the freshest, finest ingredients. We chop and dice, season and blend, and then cook everything we serve to perfection. One thing that makes Mexican food even better is one of our delicious Best of the Bay margaritas. Our signature series of margarita flavors range from our sweet and fruity mango and strawberry to our hot and juicy jalapeno margarita. Having a busy meeting or getting together and looking for Mexican food? Try our Fast Fax form. It's an easy, fast way to order your favorite Mexican food. We have special platters and layouts for any occasion. The form is super easy to fill out, fax, email, or just call it in. Whether it's here in the restaurant, in your home or office, at Que Pasa we celebrate bringing people together. Que Pasa Mexican Cantina, 10478 Roosevelt Boulevard, North Street in the Gateway Shopping Center, 727-330-3663 in St. Petersburg. It's the Fish Florida Show with your host, Riscala Stevens, bringing the outdoors to you every Sunday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on the WDBF Radio Network. And now, your host, Riscala Stevens.
Okay, we are back, and if you're just tuning in, it is the Fish Florida Show. You can always find us. If whatever you have missed, we will archive the show for you. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on the website, which is fishfloridashow.com. You can also find us, believe it or not, later on today. If you're free at 3 o'clock, the show will be played again later today, and you can hear the show in its entirety. Or you have the options of going to one of our archives. And my co-host, Pam Worth, one of the top female anglers here in Florida, who always brings a very unique perspective to our show. Thank you for being here, Pam. Greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And of course, we have the one and only Captain Hook. He's in the background taking care of all the stuff for me. Thank you, Captain Hook. Greatly appreciate what you do as well, sir.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. I love it. Oh my goodness. All right. So my next guest is Andy Sakura. Andy has a very unique service, unique to me at least, who operates down in the Keys and usually has a wide variety of information for us regarding fishing that's going on down the Keys, because he deals directly with people who do exactly that. They go out and enjoy the water down there. So good morning, Andy. Welcome to the Fish Florida Show. Thank you for taking the time to call in. And how are you doing, sir?
Good morning, and thanks for having us. And we're doing just fine. It's a little breezy down here in the Keys today, but other than that, life's good. It's not bad for fueling, but not necessarily going to be the best offshore day, it looks like, because the wind's been blowing out for a couple of days. But we're doing great, and people are buying fuel, and everybody seems pretty happy.
That's good news, huh?
Yes, sir.
Anything happening with regards to fishing prior to, you said it's been like this for how long now? Several days?
Yeah, it's been windy here about three days or something. Actually, we fueled up in the last couple days, 3 or 4 boats that were going to head over to Bimini. We know one canceled and another one turned back. It was it's a good sloppy 6 foot out there, so
oh my goodness,
on the reef. So it's kind of rough. like I said, the wind's been blowing now for a couple of days, so the seas have kicked up a little bit. But the fish is still there. The reef fish are still there if you can get offshore. The wind's supposed to lie down another day or two, so it should get a little bit better. But right now, beyond the reef is kind of rough. Inside the reef, not quite so bad.
I had looked at the radar earlier, and it looks awful clear. Doesn't appear to be much of anything happening. It looks like absolutely clear skies. Is that what you're seeing down there?
Yeah, there's some puffy clouds, but yes, no thunderstorms. We've been getting thunderstorms the last few days on and off, but no thunderstorms, kind of puffy clouds. It's a beautiful day. It's breezy. Like I said, it's a good day for us fueling because the wind's blowing, but not necessarily the best day to be going offshore fishing, unfortunately. I think the inside reef for diving, probably not so bad, as long as you're staying on the reef itself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's beautiful out, actually.
Wow. So just, those kind of days that we look forward to here in Florida, being able to get out there and enjoy the sunshine. And hey, you can always fish from the bridges. There's plenty of bridges down there in the Keys. I remember that going down there with my family. And there used to be very good fishing off of the bridges. I don't know. I haven't been there in years, but so I can't testify to that personally. But I can tell you that at one time it was really good fishing off of the bridges and just off the coast under the bridges.
Yeah, and I can tell you, as we're heading up and down the Keys here, there's always boats anchored underneath the bridges or just on either side of the bridges trying to catch either a tarpon or some of the other fish that hang around the bridges. There's definitely fish going on. And then, of course, there's, mangrove snapper pretty much everywhere, including under the bridges.
Yeah.
But there's still places people can get out fishing. When the wind blows like this, it's a little bit more limited, but we probably have more places in the Keys than you do up in mainland Florida. At least on the East Coast.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, Miss Pam, I feel you itching back there. What's the question?
Well, I just kind of I was wondering, Robert had said there'd been a couple tournaments out there, and it seems like they've got dolphin coming in, and I was just wondering if you had heard on what people are catching out there.
Yeah, actually, before the wind kicked up, good-sized dolphin. I have not heard any tournament results, but there definitely have been some decent-sized dolphin being caught all over. Like I said, the amount of people going offshore the last couple days has died down, but before that, all kinds of people are texting us pictures of all the dolphin they caught, big, decent size, and a fair amount of them at this point. So the dolphin's been good. Like I said, I haven't heard any tournament reports. I know there were a couple of them going on, but I haven't gotten any feedback on that.
Okay.
But I would like to add the deep mutton snapper and mangrove snapper have been out there big time. Before the wind picked up, in the 150 to 300 foot range on those deeper reefs, people have been just killing it. We had two 16-pound mutton snappers come in the last week, which is a nice sized mutton snapper.
It's a dinner for the whole family and part of the neighborhood.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Right. Yeah, and those muttons when they get that big, they're fat. So the fillets on them are just huge.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, the fishing's are not always good down here, but usually pretty good. But there have definitely been dolphin are being caught. We haven't heard of much wahoo, but dolphin are out there in numbers. And as soon as the sea lays down a little bit again, I'm sure people will be bringing them in also.
That's amazing. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Andy and his son Kyle, it's a father and son operation, which I just absolutely love because it's a family operated business. And the reason that we have them come on so often is they're down there in the Keys and they have firsthand experience with the people who are doing the fishing because they're the people who supply them with the fuel for their vessels. They go out on site and fuel vessels there at the dock, and it saves the vessel owner a tremendous amount of trouble, and it's very competitively priced, so he's not paying a premium just to have them come out and fuel his vessel for him. And the minimum that they'll do is very, very reasonable. So that's the reason that I have them come on all the time. They're right there talking to the people who are literally going out and doing the fishing, and so they have firsthand reports of what's happening out there. A little bit about Dockside Fuel Service. The website, if you would, Andy. What is the website?
The website is www.dockside-fuel.com. Go look at what we have to offer. You can actually make an appointment to have fuel delivered right on the website. You can text us. We use a cell phone, 305-923-6509. You either call or text, set up an appointment. We'll come see you. great time to do it right now. The wind's blowing, not everybody's going out in the boats, but we can get you fueled up before you go. So you're all ready as soon as the wind slows down just a little bit. So you can get out there, either diving. We got lobster season coming up this week, either lobstering or fishing. We'll get you all set up so you're ready to go.
When is lobster season?
I believe it starts tomorrow. I believe tomorrow is the official opening day of the regular lobster season, and it goes through right on through, I think, March. But we don't have as many people down here as we did for mini season, but there's definitely some people in town. So if you need gas before you go, give us a call. We'll come out and get you all filled up.
Hey, oops, sorry. I've seen a lot of pictures on Instagram with the little mini season they had. Have you heard any reports back? I saw a bunch of lobster being caught. One of the best years.
It was crazy busy. And they say not as many boats, but we didn't really notice that. We fueled up a lot of people. Most everybody had their limit. If you had any kind of decent spots, if you did any kind of scouting before, most people were back by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning with their limit, almost no matter how many people they had on the boat with them. The lobster were there. There's a large amount of smaller lobster out there, but there's plenty of keeper size. So if you got some of your favorite lobster spots, get out there, because there's definitely lobster around. Last season was cut short by the commercial guys because of the hurricane.
So would it be fair to say, in your opinion at least, that they're coming back, that the amount of lobsters that are out there, I can't think of the right word, is coming back? The species is coming back, is thriving?
You know, if you read about lobstering, they say the commercial guys harvest about 90% of lobster every single year. Their season was a month long last year, as opposed to whatever it is, 6 or 7 months. So there's an awful lot of lobster out there that have had a whole year to reproduce and grow. And like I said, everybody is giving us reports of they're seeing just a lot of lobster. There are smaller lobster, but there's plenty of big lobster because they've had an extra year to grow. So this year ought to be good both for diving lobster, personal lobstering, and also the commercial guys. Hopefully that carries on for a couple of years, because they've had a chance to really reproduce and spend some time multiplying.
Excellent. Well, that right there, that's a note for conservation. Every now and then, cut back and look what happens. Nature will take care of itself.
Let's just hope that nature doesn't throw us another conservation effort here in the next couple of months. We could go a couple of years without another one of them.
I agree on that one.
You're talking about the big wind jobs.
Yeah, the big wind jobs. But like I said, right now we're out there fueling people up. It's blowing a little bit. Everybody's trying to get ready to get gassed up so that they can go as soon as the wind lets up a little bit. So get fueled up. Give us a call, 305-923-6509. We'll get you fueled up.
Well, great, Andy. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you calling in. I wish you a wonderful day, my friend. Looking forward to having you back on shortly. Be well.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And tight lines, everybody.
Thank you, Andy. That is Andy Sikora. He is with Dockside Fuel Service. And again, you can reach him at 305-923-6509. Always enjoy having him on because we get to find out firsthand about what's going on down there in the Keys. And it's one of the things I kind of miss of living in South Florida, south of here from where I'm living, was the Keys was just literally an hour or so away. From where I'm at now, we're a couple of hours away, and it's a little difficult to get all the way down there and all the way back for me in one day with all the other things going on. And but it's always beautiful. Always beautiful down there. I've always enjoyed going down there. Kind of a different way of life down there. It seems to be a little slower. You've been down there many times, Pam. You find that it's kind of a slower way of life?
I love the Keys. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, so like you, we used to go down there a lot. Took my kids camping down there, snorkeling, fishing. It's a great party town too, if you hit all the way to the Key West.
Yeah, you get down to Key West and it's like I said, it's a completely different way of life. It's almost like being in a different country to get down to Key West with all the different parades and partying everywhere.
Yeah, and the history, there's some beautiful homes down there.
There is, absolutely. Some of the most gorgeous scenery down there. You can watch the sun come up and the sun go down when you get down there far enough.
Yeah.
And that's just gorgeous. I can't put words to it to describe it properly.
One of my favorite places to go all time. Yeah, my husband was looking for a second home, and I said, "Oh, Keys."
Oh yeah, that would be good. Yes, absolutely.
He was thinking a mountain somewhere that had a golf course. We're still talking about this.
Well, you let me know if it ends up in the Keys, but we are just completely out of time. Again, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Captain Hook. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in and allowing us to share some of the fun with you and some of the serious stuff on the serious side. But we'll be back in a week, every Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., the Fit Florida Show. Talk to you soon.